they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. The origin of man, civilizations, and pyramids. If you read about the Mayan civilization, as I call it in my PhD, or Mayan community or society or culture, as you can read in encyclopedias, Britannica and all others, or Wikipedia, they will tell you they were Neolithic culture. Neolithic meaning it is, Stone Age. But hey, Mayans built such magnificent structures, pyramids, temples. They knew secrets of the sound. They have so advanced astronomy. They have 21 calendars. One of them was showing the cycles of 25,600 years. That's the period in which our solar system makes a circle inside, within our galaxy. Not outside, but inside. 26,000. We figured that one out after 100 years of using telescope and computers. Maya civilization knew that thousands of years back.
Unbelievable. Hey, leuk dat je kijkt en of luistert naar VIBESTALK. We hopen met deze show je te kunnen inspireren. Ben dat je het bewuster kunnen maken en vooral een positief oplaadstation zijn in deze zeer bijzondere tijden. Vind jij het nou te gek wat wij doen? Join dan de movement en word member van Univibes. En je krijgt exclusief toegang tot onze eigen app en zoveel meer extra's. Ga daarvoor naar onze website www.univibes.nl. En vergeet natuurlijk niet deze video te liken, te delen met al je vrienden en familie en natuurlijk te abonneren op ons kanaal. Dankjewel. En dan ga ik naar mijn zeer bijzondere gast van vandaag. Welcome, Dr. Sam. It's an honor to have you here in our show. Author of many books and the expert of the pyramids of Bosnia. Can you maybe introduce yourself a little bit to the audience and tell us, how did you become the expert of the Bosnian pyramids?
Yes, gladly. Thank you for having me here. And before I start, I have a message for your viewers.
Okay.
Join the movement.
Thank you.
So, my name is Dr. Sam Osmanagic.
Yes.
And for the last 40 years, I have been researching pyramids and megalithic sites around the world. It's a little bit strange when I say pyramids, plural. People think pyramids are built in Egypt and Mexico only. And that is wrong. They are built all over the planet. For Egyptian pyramids, they've been programming us in schools, education systems, media, that pyramids in Egypt were tombs for the pharaohs. Well, guess what?
They teach us.
Yes, they program us.
Okay, yeah.
Well, guess what? In Egypt, according to the non-scientific Wikipedia, there are 118 pyramids. However, I have personally investigated 155 of them. Not a single one has a mummy. Of course, the pharaohs were buried, but where? In the Valley of Kings, Luxor, Karnak, Abydos, Dendera, Thebes, Memphis, not in the pyramids. In 21st century, we need to answer the question, what was the real purpose of pyramids? Who, when, how? I've been traveling around the world. My PhD is about the Mayan pyramids in Central American countries of Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Belize. More than 100,000 pyramids.
Wow.
97% of them in the jungles, covered by vegetations, by forests. So I realized the pyramid does not have to be obvious, because thousands of years later, rain, wind, they've been covered. Pyramids in Peru, Bolivia, China, Indonesia, Cambodia, Australia, island of Mauritius, Canary Islands, Nubian pyramids in Sudan, pyramids in Spain, Palencia pyramids, Sardinia, 43 of them, Greece, and finally, in 2005, and at that time I lived in Houston, Texas, having my business, traveling the world, writing the books. I'm coming to my home country of Bosnia. I had my 3 books published. I was at the international fair, going to Visoko to visit the local museum. Visoko is a small town next to capital city of Sarajevo. And then I see this hill with 4 sides, covered by soil, vegetation, forest. But hey, I could see 4 corners, took compass, it showed me that side orientation is perfectly to the cardinal points, east, west, north, south. Mother Nature does not make hills with 4 triangular faces, perfect orientation. I knew it was an artificial structure which got covered by vegetation after thousands of years. And this is how my journey with the Bosnian pyramid started. So it looked to me that an invisible hand was taking me from one pyramid site to another to learn. And when I was ready, I came to my own backyard, Bosnia, recognized the pyramids, started this project, but not only my research career, also business. I had business, 120 employees in Houston then, and if I did not have my own money, I would never succeed. Because when I went to the Department of Archaeology in University of Sarajevo, they said, no, we don't have pyramids, we know every square meter of our country. We don't know 90%. I went to the National Museum. They said, we never had pharaohs, therefore we cannot have pyramids. I realized I'm talking to the people who live in the 19th century, the way they're thinking. So I established non-profit NGO for the archaeological and scientific research. And by now, the last 19 years, it has become the most active archaeological site in the world. And what we have discovered, number one, the biggest pyramid on the planet, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun.
They are the biggest.
The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is 368 meters high. The Great Pyramid of Egypt, or Cheops, or Khufu, 147. At the same time, when we started excavating, 1 meter below the soil, we discovered blocks, rectangular, square. We have analyzed them. The best quality concrete on the planet. Number 3, orientation to the north, cosmic north. Egyptian pyramids, north. Chinese, Indonesia, Peru, US, Cahokia pyramids. But our pyramid, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, is the most precise on the planet. Error from perfect north, 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and 12 seconds. Egyptian, 0 degrees, 3 minutes.
How come they're all facing to the north?
Well, mainstream scientists don't know that. When they don't know, they will tell you ceremonial purposes, religious purposes. No. Independent researchers, they don't know either. We are the first one who find out why. Everything is energy, Tim. Nikola Tesla, 125 years ago, but people before and after him realized that. Our planet is a huge energy ball, and you have energy flows. On our planet, north-south and east-west are 2 strongest energy flows. When you make 4-sided pyramid, perfectly oriented, it initiates the movement of the energy within the pyramid and through the top of the pyramid.
It's like a vortex or something like that?
It is, well, it is energy related. So through our process, when we realized, hey, biggest pyramids, we have 6 of them so far discovered. We have the most extensive underground tunnel network, 100 kilometers of prehistorical tunnels. We have the oldest pyramids. We found between the concrete blocks fossilized leaves, analyzed them, radiocarbon dating, 29,200 years, plus minus 400 years. Now we change everything. What do they teach us in schools? The first civilization, Sumerians. Encyclopedia Britannica, 50 years ago, claiming 3,500 years old civilization. 30 years ago, they changed that to 5,000. Nowadays, they are saying 6,500, going deeper and deeper. The true history of human civilizations is much, much older. Humans has been around for 400,000 years. In last 100,000 years, we had civilization cycle after cycle after cycle. We simply live in the last cycle. Bosnian pyramids were 2 cycles before. So,
You're saying we are living in the last cycle?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
In the last 100,000 years, this is the 5th cycle.
Okay.
Well,
so there will be
end to this one also.
Okay.
You know, we can see the global catastrophes hitting our planet, the last one being 12,000 years back, the end of the last ice age. 99% of humanity were wiped off. Huge biblical floods, tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. Those who hid themselves in underground tunnels, natural caves on top of the mountains, they survived. They got out after a few months, their civilization was gone. They had to start from the beginning. So we had, rather primitive Mesolithic man and Neolithic man. They were starting from the beginning. So this was the rise. Now we are at the peak. And the end for our civilization will come fairly soon, within a couple of 100 years at the most, naturally speaking, if we don't destroy ourselves through the nuclear weapons or chemical or biological, or if AI, artificial intelligence, takes over.
What do you mean by that, when artificial intelligences are taking over?
Well, 40 years ago, when I wrote my first book, I did mention artificial intelligence. At that time, it was far, far away. And I said, if everything is centralized, there is always a danger that, they are going to kind of harm humans. Today, my last book is actually called My Communication with the Artificial Intelligence. This is the one before, about the Bosnian Pyramids. But also, I spoke to AI about Bosnian Pyramids. Now, what I could notice, the ChatGPT 3.5, that's the publicly available version from a year ago. I talked to it and I saw that AI actually learning, it evolves. And we have created it. So if we created rather powerful force that you can talk to, the second generation, the super artificial intelligence, will be built by artificial intelligence. And now imagine this. You are getting all the information about the history, what you are doing as far as the energy, coal, oil, gas, nuclear, contaminate the space. You have such inequality. Elites had almost everything. 90% of people struggle for everyday life. When they see all of that, when they see that we have destroyed 50% of the flora and fauna, plants and animals in the last 150 years, what is going to conclude? Wow, the people are the real danger for this planet. So if they decide, and they are intelligent, to get rid of us, they can do it fairly quickly. This is what I meant as a danger. So we need to do something now.
Well, what can we do as a human race?
First of all, we need to change ourselves. We should not rely so much on technology. What they offer us as the new Western values is transhumanism, upgraded humans. I don't think that's the future of humanity. We are social beings. We lost that. You remember? Keep the social distance. We are social beings. We need handshakes. We need hugs. We need to kiss each other. We need to, have harmony among us and harmony with the nature. And what we can learn from the ancient civilizations is exactly that. They were very ecologically advanced civilizations when they were building their structures, megalithic structures like Stonehenge, Avebury Hill circles, Karnak in France, Alestenar in Sweden, Rujmel here in Israel, or pyramids, China, Bosnia, other countries. They were using natural material. They would not contaminate. And in the case of pyramids, they were getting sources of energy, because that's what the pyramids are. They are energy amplifiers. If you place the pyramid above energy potent place, it amplifies natural sources of energy. And this is what we concluded in Bosnia. The biggest pyramid in the world, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, is located above iron ore. Iron generates electromagnetic field. The pyramids amplifies this electromagnetism. How do we know? Because we have measured at the base, at the top. At the top, 50 times stronger signal. Then below the pyramid, underground water flow. Water moves, it releases negative ions. They are very beneficial for our health. The pyramid amplifies the concentration of negative ions, and we measure them almost daily, and we have concluded the biggest concentration of negative ions in the world are below the Bosnian pyramids in our healing tunnels. We have a lot
They
of...
are healing tunnels?
Healing, yes.
Every pyramid, do you think? What do you think?
Ours.
The Bosnian one.
Because we can see hundreds of healing testimonials every year. People go into the tunnels if they have high blood pressure. For example, you have a problem with your wife, your blood pressure goes to the roof, 180 through 120, you go to our tunnels, you come back, 120 through 8.
I come tomorrow.
Yes. Or high sugar, 10.5, almost diabetes. You go inside, you come back, 5.7.
But how come?
Normal.
Because of the frequencies?
Okay. Combination of 10 factors. Very quickly. The first 5 is absence of all harmful radiations. You and I, we live on the surface of the planet, but a lot of harmful cosmic radiations coming our way. They are enemy to our body cells fight the enemies. 20 meters below the ground, in the Bosnian pyramid tunnels, no harmful cosmic radiations, no harmful natural radioactivity. We measure it with Geiger-Miller counters. No harmful geopathogenic radiations coming from underground waters. No harmful signal for the mobile phones. No 3G, 4G, 5G. No harmful Wi-Fi. So, without the enemy, our body cell can, for the first time in our life, start their real job. And that is to fix the problems in our body, to start the regeneration process. Somebody has high blood pressure, or sugar, or tumor, or cancer, or mental problems, a regeneration is happening, and you mentioned rightfully frequencies. We measure in tunnels 5 energy phenomena. So, number 6, the best electromagnetism for us, 28 kilohertz, that's the frequency of our planet. Whatever comes from her, from our mother, is good for us. Number 7, the best frequency of the ultrasound, 28 kilohertz, this is so-called the levitation frequency. We feel light. Number 8, very low frequency, 7.83 hertz. In science, it is called original Schumann resonance. It brings us back to the balance. Number 9, very high level of organ or life energy. In Indian traditions, they would call it prana or chi. There is instrument to measure
life force.
Life force. In the cities, on the scale from 0 to 100, 20%. Villages, 50. Pyramid tunnels, 100.
Wow.
So, and the number 10, negative ions, which I mentioned, they clean our body from viruses, bacteria, fungi. You put them together, you get the safest and the healthiest place on the planet. So, one of the purposes of pyramid energy is healing, self-healing. Isn't that logical? Another one, on the top of the pyramid of the sun, we measure existence of energy beam. It's getting stronger as it moves away, 28 kilohertz, electrical in nature. In science, it is called the scalar waves. It travels quicker than the speed of light. So the second potential purpose of pyramid energy is communication. We can communicate between cosmical bodies. Number 3.
What do you mean by that? We can communicate with
this is what I mean. Nikola Tesla did experiment 125 years ago with Warden Cliff Tower in the state of New York. He was doing several experiments, and then he was writing in his diary, I found a way to send unlimited quantities of energy, thousands of horsepowers, between 2 planets, regardless of their distance. He was using 28 kilohertz frequency, exactly the one that we measure on Bosnian pyramids, which are 30,000 years old.
30,000 years old?
29,200, as I said. So, 30,000 years. They knew the secret of frequency. This was very specific frequency, ideal to transport the energy, to transport the information. And scalar waves move quicker than the speed of light. So you can send information to different galaxies. Now,
wow.
So, This is the second purpose, communication. The third purpose, we are finding water in some of the pyramid tunnels. We have analyzed it, conventional, microbiological, chemical, physical, no viruses, no bacteria, no fungi. pH, excellent, 7.45. That's the pH of our blood. We sent it to the late Dr. Masaru Emoto. We got picture of molecular structure through the electronic microscope. It's hexagonal with beautiful crystal-like structure. The picture of our city water, which does not have microbes because it has been treated with the chlorine, it shows broken structure because, you know,
but how does that
it's
work?
not healthy.
How does it work, the structures in the water?
Okay, so what Dr. Emoto was doing, he was taking different samples from rivers, contaminated lakes, water that he was exposed to different type of music, heavy metal or Mozart. Heavy metal music, the water formed concentric circles like it is defending itself. The music from Mozart, it created hexagonal molecular structure. And then if you yell at the water, it shows ugly structure. Contaminated water, ugly structure. So we realize the water has a memory. They did not teach us about that in schools. They never taught us many things in schools. This is the real life. And the water from the Bosnian Pyramid tunnels, which has been exposed only to the good energies, hexagonal structure, crystal-like structure. It is energetically alive. I call it happy water. And you know what, Tim? We are what we drink. We drink energetically alive or energetically dead.
Wow.
We are what we eat. We are what we think. We are the news that we are listening. If we are listening all the time about the war and fires, this is exactly how we are going to vibrate. What does that mean? Nikola Tesla said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, you need to view them through the energy, frequencies, and vibrations. And our project in Bosnia, it started as the archeological project. We discovered the pyramids, concrete blocks, tunnels. But it's much more than that. It's about the energy. Because the pyramids, they amplify the energies, creating very specific frequencies that affect our vibrations. What does that mean in real life? If we drink bad water, if we hear only the bad news, if we are sad, if we are jealous, if we are violent, we vibrate low. But if we have love for the whole world, we vibrate high. And when we think about our life, what is the purpose of our life? Now, we live in the Western world. They teach us about the consumerism. The more you have, the richer you are, the happier you should be. It doesn't go like that.
No.
You can have all the riches of the world, but if you're empty from inside, for no good. So if we try to get all the material stuff all our lives, we will never have enough. But if we live fulfilled life, if we share, if we give love to the others, we will be happy and we will vibrate high. And it seems to me, traveling around the world, writing 20 books about different ancient civilizations, even though they were not some of them so technologically advanced, but they were much happier. And I think that is the purpose in life. To be happy, to love, to be loved, to vibrate high. And pyramid energy helps us achieve that.
Yeah. So it sounds to me that there was a civilization who were aware of this. You know? How come? How is that possible? Because we're teaching at school that there were no civilizations between.
You know, after 40 years, I concluded almost everything they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. The origin of man, civilizations, and pyramids. If you read about the Mayan civilization, as I call it in my PhD, or Mayan community or society or culture, as you can read in encyclopedias, Britannica and all others, or Wikipedia, they will tell you they were Neolithic culture. Neolithic meaning it is, Stone Age. But hey, Mayans built such magnificent structures, pyramids, temples. They knew secrets of the sound. They have so advanced astronomy. They have 21 calendars. One of them was showing the cycles of 25,600 years. That's the period in which our solar system makes a circle inside, within our galaxy. Not outside, but inside. 26,000. We figured that one out after 100 years of using telescope and computers. Maya civilization knew that thousands of years back.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. While I was doing that, I was researching the Mayan cities, open to the public or close to the public, or in the forests, in the jungles. Amazing. Their art, their architecture, their understanding of elements of sacred geometry, sound, frequencies. They were so smart. You go to other places, Anasasis in southern U.S., New Mexico, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, building a beautiful complexes facing the sun, very, very spiritual, building the first highways on American continents in stone, in rocks, perfectly flat, and straight like a laser. They would go to canyons, going up, climbing the hill, going on Mesa, diagonal.
But how is that possible?
Why, first, how is possible technically, but why would somebody do that? They did not have trades, they did not have, horses or wheels. There is a reason why would they do that. So we can see that those people, they had different concepts of life, of construction, different ideas, and especially different ideas when it comes to the energy. Now imagine building so many pyramids around the planet, knowing that pyramids would amplify energy that can be used for health, for water, for food, for immunity, to advance spiritual senses. What is that? Well, for me, spirituality is important to define. When I was younger, they taught me in school spirituality, it is religious and religions. Religions is one thing. Faith is another. Spirituality is also another thing. For me, spirituality is development of spiritual senses. So we can see the world beyond the physical reality. What does that mean? Physical reality is defined by our 5 physical senses. You and I, we can see, we can hear, we can taste, we can smell, we can touch. But our physical senses are so limited. What we can see only those 7 colors, started with red and orange and yellow and green and blue and indigo and violet. This is less than 1% of all the events in the universe. What we can hear, we hear sound. Your sound technician knows what we hear, 20 hertz, 20 kilohertz. We don't hear above 20 kilohertz, it is called ultrasound. The matter of fact is we are getting older, like myself, and you also, don't worry about it. We hear 19, 18, 15. If we are married 20, 30 years, we don't hear our wives at all. But everything above 20 kilohertz is called ultrasound. We cannot hear, but it exists. We don't hear more than 99% of sounds in the universe. So imagine how limited we are. And this is our physical reality. But imagine if we can develop spiritual senses. If we can, for example, feel the energy. We all can do that. You get your hands close to each other like this. You can feel a little bit resistance and warmth. What is it? It's our auric field. We feel our energy. With the practice, we can see our energy. We can see our chakras, auric field. With the practice, we can exchange thoughts. Telepathy is spiritual sense. Imagine that you can communicate with the telepathy. It's like internet today. Telekinesis, movement, the objects with the power of our mind is spiritual sense. And the last one, the most important, teleportation. Imagine that we can move through space and time. So, for example...
But you believe that we can do that?
We all have potentials. Nobody teaches us. What we can do astral projections. when the Cold War was over, then we started reading many books from those spies from America, from former Soviet Union and so on.
Yes.
And they were writing that they were doing astral projections. They would go back in time, or they would go to the future. Imagine, 225 years ago, Napoleon, he was conquering Egypt, 1799. And it was said, he went to the Great Pyramid, he spent the night there, he came back next morning, all in chaos. He was, seeing all kinds of stuff. Imagine that we can, instead of reading about it, go and see for ourselves. We go to Egypt, we saw this, short guy. And then if you start doing that, you go 2,000 years back, Guy Julius Caesar, you go and see Cleopatra and see if she was really so beautiful, like, it was said. And then you realize, hey, what is this? This is not my physical body. This is my soul. If I can do all that, I can go to the future and the past. Then my soul lives forever. My physical body is important, but it is for one use only. It dies. But my soul is forever. If it is forever, why should I be afraid of anything? Of dying or losing material stuff, losing job, losing loans, losing mortgage, losing house? I should not be afraid of anything. If I have a boss who's been yelling to me, I just say, listen, I don't want to work for you no more. And you simply leave. No fear in our life. But not only that, if you can go through every corner of the universe, you realize that you have no limits. And this is exactly the definition of freedom. No limits, no fear. We, humans, are here to try to reach that feeling that we are free. Right now we are in a Friesland.
Friesland.
Free Friesland. Are you a Frieslander?
Of course, yes, definitely.
Okay, free Friesland. All right. So, what I'm saying, imagine that we are all free. Then we could not care less who's politicians, who's in charge of this, who's president, who. We don't care.
But you believe that we all have this potential?
Yes.
All right.
And we need to fulfill them. We should remove fear from our life. I wish Corona years never happened to us. And if it's tried again, then hey, we are free.
We're fearless.
Yes. During the Corona time, 2020, 2022, in Visoko, in Bosnia, with the pyramids, pyramid tunnels, we had our beautiful park. I spent all my US savings. I used to live in Houston, Texas for 25 years. I sold my company. Spent all the money. I was purchasing swampy, muddy, neglected land, filled with the garbage, 100,000 square meters. It's big. And I transformed it with my excellent crew into one of the most beautiful parks in the world. We have more than 60 installations, labyrinth of love, labyrinth of energy, concert stage, yoga stage, meditation stage. We have sports complex, all kind of stuff. Park of flowers, park of water fountains. It was oasis of freedom during the Corona time. People were coming to us, they would experience different energy. When you're coming in today from the city, it's a concrete, it's a steel, it's a traffic, it's a no parking, it's the fines, people are demotivated. You go to a place like that, in the middle of the nature, with the pyramid energy, with the people all around the world, with open-minded people, you realize, hey, this is the life I want to live. You know how many people we had from different countries, from Czech, from Holland, from Slovenia, from Germany, who come, they buy properties, and they live there, or at least they spend 6, 7, 8 months a year over there.
And people are changing when they are there.
People are changing. They realize they have not only physical aspect, but spiritual aspect.
Because of the energy?
Yes.
What is it?
I've seen people, for example, one day, 3 business women from Slovenia. They've been having their businesses for 20 years, purchasing, ordering, money, payroll, all living in the physical aspect. They came to us. They were laughing, not smiling, laughing out loud. For the first time in 20 years, they realized, hey, it's not just this material aspect. We have another aspect of ourselves.
So we lost our connection with the nature.
We have. That's why I'm saying the future of humanity is harmony with the nature and harmony among us. So our place is so important. When we think about the future, we always expect something from the government, or in this case from EU. Well, you know, elites have been around for thousands of years. Monarchs, kings, and princesses, and sultans, and presidents, and whoever. But first they take care of themselves. Majority of the people struggle daily to pay the bills. So, instead of waiting for someone to take care of their problems, we have potential to be in charge of our destiny. And that's exactly what we did in Bosnia.
Yes.
With this beautiful park project. So, archaeology, science, healing, energy, spirituality, culture, sport oasis. People coming, they are smiling, they are bringing good energy, they are coming with the good ideas, and we grow this place. Imagine 10 such places in little Bosnia,
Like
20 in Serbia.
Building new communities.
Exactly.
Yes.
50 in Holland, 100 in the US. We would change the world ourselves.
Because of the frequencies we are sending out?
Because I think it's awakened in us something. And then we realize, yes, we can do it. A lot of people think, oh, they are small, it's just one or two of them, they are helpless. Wrong. Every one of us is a little spark of light, like the candle over here. Imagine 1,000 of us. Imagine 100 million of us. Instead of dark and dark forces, all of a sudden, we would have light.
So what is an important message to the people right now?
They need to take destiny in their hands. They should not rely 100% on money and technology. They need to be more in the nature. They need to realize everything is alive. Everything is energy. We need to exchange the energy. They need to start giving and sharing. Sharing everything. Sharing knowledge, sharing wealth, sharing information, sharing good ideas. We should not judge other people. Share. And they're going to respect us more. And then we need to discover sites like Bosnian Pyramids. And I heard that you are planning to come there with a group. You will be our dear guest.
I would love to,
Yes.
Dr. Sam,
Yes.
to organize a Univibes travel to the Bosnian Pyramids.
Join the movement.
Yeah, join the movement. Back to the pyramids of Bosnia. What are other scientists saying about it?
Now, when I started the project, when I realized, hey, look at under the forest, there is a huge artificial structure. I wrote the book, I did some geological core drilling, archaeological trenches, everything pointed that I was right. I went out, I had a big press conference.
You had a big press conference?
Big press conference,
And the media was
October
coming, or?
2005. Never so many media in Bosnia before. Associated Press, Reuters, France Press, Chinese Xinhua, regional TVs, everybody and his brother were there. So everybody wrote about it in 2005 and 2006. Immediately, all the archaeologists, geologists, historians, museums, Ministry of Culture against me. It's impossible. What he's talking about? No. I said, what's wrong with these people? I'm just beginning. In front of me is the investigation process. In order to prove if you are right or wrong, you need to dig, you need to investigate, you need to analyze, you need to measure, and that's what we've been doing. And those people, they would insult me publicly, they were saying it's impossible, blah, blah.
Still?
Not anymore. The first 2 years, yes. But once they saw that we discovered artificial concrete, that we discovered the huge network of prehistorical tunnels, that we have done measurements, that we have had 6 international scientific conferences, 110 experts from 25 countries supporting us. You don't hear them publicly, but they do work behind the scene. Like the other day, it was announced that I was going to have lectures in 2 libraries in Slovenia, Ljubljana and Maribor, and from the archaeological community, they put a lot of pressure to those libraries not to have those lectures, so they cancelled. And what happened? The organizers, they organized lectures in 2 smaller libraries, like Novo Mesto, smaller town. The library was so full, filled with So many people that it never happened before. People want to know the truth. That's so simple. We need to give it to them.
But why are we seeing this in the news about the Bosnian pyramids and all the pyramids who are discovered right now in the whole world?
Who owns the news? Who owns the media? More than 90% are owned by the big corporation. Who owns the big corporation? People who owns everything, let's call them elites. You have 0.0025% of humanity, 3,000 super billionaires. They own everything. All the corporations, they own politicians, they own everything. So if it does not fit the narrative, they don't let it be there.
But are they afraid? Why is that?
Well, 90% of information from Wikipedia, Encyclopedia Britannica, Smithsonian, National Geographic, and so on, they are correct. They are public knowledge. If you go under letter N, Netherlands, that's country in Northern Europe, the capital city, well, you are exception. You have two capital cities. You have Amsterdam and Hague. But this is publicly available information. Everybody knows. But 10% is highly protected and controlled. Physics, astronomy, history, archaeology, NASA, they tell us what they want us to hear. Among other things, I concluded when it comes to ancient history, they want to tell us that we are the only civilization, nobody before us, we are the only civilization in the universe. No sense at all. Why? Because if we are the only one, and we are still in infantile stage, baby stage, it means we have to be nourished, we have to be led by who? By elites. So they justify their existence. They control us, they manipulate with us.
But is this about control?
Control, number one. And all the time, they are giving us...
Because they are afraid of our potential, or what is it?
Listen,
Yeah.
All the time, they are giving us bones, so we fight around the bones like dogs, not noticing that behind the scene is something else. For example, they divided us into different countries, and they, force one country against the other, wars, and people are busy thinking about that. Or we have to work 2 jobs to pay for the new house and the new car. So we are too busy to realize that elites on the top have more than 90% of all the resources. So look at this distribution. Instead of being equal, it's totally unequal. When it comes to energy, instead of using Tesla and his patents about clean energy, unlimited sources of energy, free energy, instead we have energy that's limited, that's dirty, coal, oil, gas, nuclear, that contaminates and very expensive, and it belongs to them. Just imagine for a second that there is a free energy available. If you have free energy, you don't have elites no more. You don't have oil exploration. You don't have oil tankers and spilling into the ocean, ecological catastrophes. You don't have petrochemical industry. You don't have refineries. You don't have chemical industry and plastic bags. You don't have additives that poison our food. You don't have additives that poison our drink. Everything would change. We would live in society where people are equal distribution. And that's just the question of the energy. So when you ask what they are afraid of, this is what they are afraid of. If they see that 2 forces that confronting each other realize there is a third one in the back, then they would turn against it. Or, in other examples, 1878, Bosnia, through Berlin Congress, from Ottoman Empire, was given to Austria-Hungary Empire. And people who lived there in Bosnia, mostly Muslims and Eastern Orthodox, or Bosnians and Serbs, when they heard that the new conqueror will come, Austria-Hungary, they didn't want that. So Austria-Hungary sent soldiers, sent military. Not Austrians, not Germans, but Croats and Slovenians who are also Slavic people. So Slavic people, Croats, Slovenians, were fighting other Slavic people, Bosnians and Serbs, having the bad blood that even today we have that. So we can see that the other force behind the scene makes sure that there is a conflict between other groups. Divide and
conquer.
Rule.
Yeah.
And conquer.
Yeah.
So this is what's happening. This is a shame. We are not beings to be violent. We don't need much to be happy. Good, intentional, normal people. Have a good job, have a good income, take your family, the weekends, take your wife or your mistress to Spain or Greece. So we don't need much to be happy. Instead, they make us thinking we are only physical beings without spirituality. We have to work 1 or 2 jobs very hard all our lives. Once we are ready to retire, we die of heart attack, of diabetes, or whatever.
So we also have to change our school system.
We have to change everything.
Yeah.
Instead of teaching kids creativity, how to be creative.
Yeah.
In every environment. 50 years ago, it was finding the right book. Today is finding the right website or YouTube channel or even TikTok. Be creative. Get information, select, filter, so you can get to the truth. Instead of that, they teach us you have to learn this by heart. You go to test, you pass the test, and you forget everything what you learn. I mean, that's not the point.
No, and no spirituality as well.
Yes, exactly.
Do you believe that free energy will be able for humanity?
It will come.
Yes.
It will come. You know, what's important for us is the hope. We have a hope to look for at the end of the road. It doesn't matter how bad political system is, how bad dictatorship is, how bad you are in a, let's say, you are a slave for someone, you are in a bad state. The hope to be free, equality, happiness. You know, we have something to live for. Dark forces, the only thing they want is to have dark all the time, to keep us in dark. And we can change that. Because we are great majority of people wants to be happy. They don't want to be slaves. They don't want to be slave to the money, slave to the corporation, slave to the politician, slave to the interests of very small group of people. So yes, there is a future for us. It's just a matter of that enough of us realize.
We have to be brave.
We have to be brave. Whatever we do. You know, when I do my lectures, I talk about Bosnian pyramids, and sometimes I talk about the troubles I was going through. But despite everything, when everyone attacks you, and in my case, local Bosnian archaeologists, historians, then regional, Croatia, Serbia, then European, Poland, France, UK, then world, America, Zahi Havas, from everybody was attacking me. National Geographic against me. Everybody. So 99.99% of people would give up. But do you give up your scientific arguments when you know that you are right? Do you give up your dreams? I have never given up. And now more and more people are coming to our site. When people listen to my lectures, one time I had a lady, she was in her 50s. You know, she had a question for me. Actually, it was more like a story. She said, I was listening to you very carefully. When I came as a young chemist to the corporation, I had great ideas. I was very enthusiastic. But then people who's been there for a much longer time, they didn't care. They wanted to keep the status quo. They didn't let me materialize my ideas. And then I was living in fear. I just got in that company. I was afraid to lose the job. So I've given up. But now when I'm listening to you, I decided to go back with those ideas. So it's very inspirational. It doesn't matter what field are you in. You can be culture or history or science or corporate world or political world or sport. You have your dreams. You follow your dreams, no matter what. Because at the end of the road, in this life experience, you will turn around you and you will think, have I achieved what I was supposed to? Have I fulfilled my mission on this planet?
What is your mission right now?
Well, in my case, obviously, is to share the knowledge about the ancient technology. This is what the pyramids are. Megalithics are, they are ancient technology. But it is not only about the past. You research the past so you can see how you can have benefits in this society. If ancients had such a genius way for the interstellar communication to protect the health, which is a major thing for all of us. Instead of pharmaceutical, you know, for pharmaceutical industry, we are not good if we are healthy or if we are dead. So we have to be sick all our life. So they can give us pills. 1, 2, 3. The other day I had a guy with 27 different pills a day, and I was shocked because I use 0. So if we had such a great experience, self-healing, water vibrates high, beautiful molecular structure, food grows better exposed to pyramid energy, immunity goes up. During Corona time, people were saying, oh, vaccine is the solution. Everybody got viruses, whether they are vaccinated or not. But once they got the virus, the question is immunity. That's the major question. Pyramid energy improves the immunity. So now we can see that the ancients were genius. They were so smart. So it's not only about researching past because of past, it's because
what we can learn
of our presence and future.
Do you believe that the future of health will be frequencies, healing, some kind
Of course.
Yes.
When something happens to us, it's because of disbalance. One thing, I mentioned Schumann resonance. That's very low, frequency 7.83 Hertz. Until 40 years ago, our planet would resonate at 7.83. When we got born, we are born at 7.83. When we produce the brain waves, when we think, if somebody still think, it would be at 7.83 Hertz. So our planet is 7.3, we are 7.3, we are in balance. But then, because of our bad technology, computers, laptops, microwaves, TVs,
5G,
phones, Wi-Fi, satellite dishes, so much bad technology, especially big cities, they are so contaminated with high technology. So what happens? In capital city of Bosnia, Sarajevo, it's not 7.83 anymore, it is 12 Hertz. Munich, million people, 15 Hertz. New York City, before New Amsterdam, 15 million people, it's 18 Hertz. So imagine, we are at 7.3, this is 18, there is a disbalance which creates stress. And stress causes 75% of our health issues. It starts with the high blood pressure, cardiovascular, and then we are dead.
Yeah.
So yes,
Yes.
Future is finding the proper frequencies. And like I said, food, drink. What we need to teach our kids how to think creatively, how not to judge other people, how to remove jealousy, envy from their lives, how to share. Because sharing, meaning there is a synergy. If we are separate, we will advance much slower. EU, when it started 30, 40 years ago, sharing the experience from different countries helped so much everyone.
Yes.
Italy was undeveloped country in the 1960s. Now you go there, highways everywhere, loans, money, exchange of information, knowledge. Everybody benefits. Those who are at war, they are just thinking more and more. No communication.
Yes. Well, back to the pyramids. About the ley lines, what is the connection with the ley lines and the pyramids? And maybe can you explain for the people who don't know what ley lines are?
Ley lines are underground energy lines. They're usually straight, east, west, north, south, and diagonal.
And energetic lines?
Energetic line below the soil, below the ground.
Yes.
In England, it is best researched, and they realized that the major churches and cathedrals are located on the ley lines, the straight lines. How is that possible? Well, the churches destroyed previous temples on the same locations, using even the same materials, blocks, to build the churches. And those temples were built at the places or even older paganic structures. And they were built on the places of even older megalithic structures. What is megalithic structures? Huge blocks. For example, Univibes.
Yes.
These are megalithic structures,
Yes.
big blocks, 3 tons, 5 tons. The largest one has 23 tons. I measured it 2 days ago. So the first people, they knew where are those powerful energy lines. When they placed the stones in certain geometrical shapes, let's say circle or spiral, it amplifies the energy of the place. If they use very old and powerful stones like a granite, you have a lot of granite here. This is not your local, it came from Sweden. But granite has 15% of quartz crystal. Quartz crystal amplifies the energy. So the first civilizations were so smart, they were building those megalithic structures, and the latest, the churches, they were building at the same places. In the case of Bosnian pyramids, we have a map of those ley lines in the Balkan region. Majority of them intersect in the town of Visoko, where the Bosnian pyramids are located. How did they know that?
Yes, how did they know that?
They knew that very deep in the ground, iron, electromagnetism. Underground, 2 levels of water flows. Underground rivers, negative ions. Charge, between 2 charge, voltage, electricity. They knew the power of quartz crystal. Quartz crystal, besides amplifying the energy, they transforms the energy from one form, in our case electromagnetism, into another one, ultrasound. How do we know? Because we measure. We measure 28 electromagnetic field, 28 ultrasound field.
Unbelievable, yes.
And this frequency of 28, like I said, it's the levitation frequency. You go to tunnels, you feel light. Your body cells, they go up. So,
how did they know?
We underestimate through our educational system those guys from the past.
Yes.
Well, how they know? You know, traveling the world, researching pyramids, I noticed that the biggest pyramids in China are the oldest. They have 20 biggest pyramids, 12,500, and they have 230 smaller ones from 2,300 until 1,000 before present. So the oldest, 10,000 older, are the biggest and superior, made from granite and sandstone. In Egypt, the same thing. 28 biggest stone pyramids. Cheops, Khafre, Mykerinos, Neferu, he has 3 pyramids. Black pyramids, red pyramid, bent pyramid, Hawara, and so on. They are the biggest. Those that they came later, 12th dynasty, 19th dynasty, they were built from the inferior mud bricks. In US, Cahokia pyramids, the biggest one is 11% larger than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Bosnian, 30,000. Gunung Padang, Indonesia, 28,000. So, my conclusion, the first pyramids are the biggest, the most superior, and the oldest. So, the knowledge, it's not evolution, the knowledge has been brought. It opens the question, by who? Who brought that knowledge? I'm scientist, open-minded, but still scientist. I need proofs. Right now, I don't have a proof. Who built Chinese pyramids 12,000 years ago? Or who even built Egyptian pyramids? They were not built by primitive slaves. These are bedtime stories. Let's forget that. We need science. It was built by someone who had the knowledge. In Egyptian pyramid, Cheops, you have number pi, 3.14 incorporated. How do we know? The length of the sides at the base, 231 meters, 2 sides, 462, divided by height, 147, the result, 3.14. Number pi is there. Number phi, 1.618, golden section, is there. Fibonacci formula is there at the Giza Plateau. The distance between our planet and the sun is there, based on different relationship of the chambers and the dimensions. How did they know that? The speed of light, almost 300,000 kilometers, is incorporated there.
Yes.
So those builders were extremely advanced. So if we are to think that pharaohs and slaves,
Do you think there's a possibility that it has to do with extraterrestrials?
I'm open for any possibility. I'm a scientist. Is it possible that humans built that? It is possible under one condition, that they were extremely developed and intelligent. Is it possible? I think yes. You know, 300-400 years ago, we were in the Middle Age. And you know, 70 years ago, we are on the moon. In a couple of 100 years, we have done so much in a very short period of time. Is it possible that similar period happened in the past? Theoretically, it is possible. So I don't exclude humans as builders. The next one thing that we usually forget, there are forces, intelligent forces, not visible to us. Souls, spirits, you know, different. Is it possible that they can materialize, think? Probably it is possible. Is it possible that somebody came from the other planets? It is possible. When I see some sites, for example, Easter Island, they had those Maui, those big heads with the half body. The biggest one, 175 tons. Very hard volcanic stone. On the island, there is no advanced tools, there is no advanced method of transportation, but they are there. All we know that the primitive people live there. Who built it? It looks like me. Somebody came, landed, built, and then left. Göbekli Tepe in southeastern Turkey. Officially 11,600 years old site, megalithic circles, T-shaped megaliths. There are 100 circles like that. Much bigger project than Stonehenge. When I spoke to the discoverer, Dr. Klaus Schmidt, 10 years ago, before he died, he told me probably 15 to 18,000 years. For their teachers in schools, 18,000 years. Primitive, cavemen, Paleolithic times. I mean, it is like there were times that advanced, but also primitive.
Live together.
Live together. The time is now also. If you and I, if we go to Papua New Guinea, or if we are going in the middle of the Amazon, who would we find? We would find some primitive, you know, caveman or some primitive Paleolithic people. So, just in the past was similar thing. There was somebody with what we have today, the mobile phones or computers or scanners. There was somebody with their tools who maybe came to our planet and they started building those structures. And they knew what lasts forever is not a machine, it is stone. So they made technology from stones, from very hard stones or very hard concrete. They are so smart.
Because you also have these stories from the Sumerian tablets, right? They were telling about extraterrestrials?
Yes. Now, in ancient Sumeria and Babylon, 40,000 clay tablets were discovered with writings. And most of them were actually in West Berlin before the Germany was united. And you have some people who were deciphering those texts, among them Zacharias Sitchin. And he has at least 7 books talking about the subject. That another civilization, which he called Anunnaki, that lived on the planet that has very long elliptic, you know, path. It's coming to our solar system, going to another one, coming to ours every 3,500 years. And when they were coming close to our planet, they would jump to our planet, exploiting gold. So the first gold mines were, according to him, in South Africa, several hundreds of thousands of years old. And he claimed the first humans were actually genetically engineered by ETs 400,000 years ago. That somebody
400,000 years.
That somebody mixed the genetic material of the most advanced animal, Neanderthal, even though Neanderthal was a little bit bigger than us, with their genes. And instead of animal, they got intelligent, artistic beings, Cro-Magnons or Homo sapiens. They got us. And their role in the beginning was to be slaves in those gold mines. And really, when I take groups to South Africa with my very good friend of mine, Michael Tellinger, we hear stories from locals, from the mining companies, that while they were digging, they would be finding extremely old gold mines in the area. And they were instructed to dynamite everything and forget about it.
Oh, wow.
So it seems that there are some physical proofs of those gold mines. So if it is truth, it would mean that there were influence in the evolution that created the man on this planet. And were they builders of pyramids? I don't know. I don't have enough proof. But some things remain from the past. When you mention Sumeria, for me the most important artifact from Sumeria is so-called Sumerian king list. That's a big stone plate, like stela, with the carved names of all Sumerian rulers and with the dates when they were ruling the area. And they have 3 phases. The first phase, gods. The second one, lesser gods. The third one, children of gods. The children of gods are the very known rulers of Sumeria. And through the archaeological digging, we know who are those rulers, how long they ruled. The lesser gods would rule Sumerian areas for 1,000 years each. And gods, it is said, they descended from the kingdom of heaven to kingdom of earth.
It's fascinating, yes.
273,600 years ago. 273,000 years ago. The first ruler, Alulim, would rule Sumeria 28,800 years. And the second one, Alajar, 36,000 years. The first 10 rulers would rule approximately 25 to 30,000 years each. There is a similar story in Egypt. There is an artifact which is called the Turin King List, Turin or Torino in Italy. So you enter the Egyptian Museum in Turin. There is a big glass box with this papyrus, 1 meter 75 centimeters, 45 centimeters wide, with 11 columns in hieroglyphic writings. You have all the rulers in ancient Egypt. Also, 3 phases. The last phase, sons of gods. This is how the pharaohs called themselves. They do not call themselves kings or pharaohs. Pharaoh is a Greek term. Sons of gods. And you know, some of them would rule 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, if they got lucky, like Ramesses II, 67 years. But these were humans, obviously, from 5,100 years ago until 2,000 years back. And then you have demigods or semi-gods, half-gods, 200, 300 years rule. And the first one, gods. They would rule Egypt 1,000 years each. Now, gods with the small g, not with the capital G. What does that mean? If you lived at that time, you are looking at one ruler. Your son is looking at the same ruler. You're gone, your grandson looking the same ruler. The grandson of your grandson, the same ruler. Of course, in the eyes of common people, they were gods. They lived forever. They were immortal. And they were having some devices that we can see, the pharaohs, that would probably help them to stay healthy for so long. So there are some proofs that I find when I travel the world that tells me that these are not just the myths, they are not the legends, but there is a lot of truth in the myths. In having advanced civilization and beings, human-like, that would live for a very long time. And it is so logical that if you lived, for example, 1,000 years, that you had developed technology to move 6 million tons of blocks, some from Cairo, some from Aswan, and built the Great Pyramid. They had technology to do that, not the primitive pharaohs and the slaves.
Wow. Also about the myths, there are also a lot of myths about giants.
Yes. The giants are present everywhere. It seems that during the evolution or during genetic engineering, they were created also.
Yes.
The giants are present everywhere. North America,
yes?
Central America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa. Everybody is talking about the giants. Even Univibes. It is said that giants built those huge megalithic structures, tens of tons. And there is a little drawing that at the longest Unibed, which portrayed the giant carrying on his back block of 10 tons. I don't think that was possible, but people don't have real explanations, so they are giving us all kind of stories. But since you have the stories about giants everywhere, probably there is something to it. The closest I came to confirm that there were people bigger than us humans is United States. In the US, you had this phenomenon called mounds. Mounds, it's earthen structures. For example, there are Cahokia mounds. These are actually step pyramids in the Cahokia National Park in southwestern corner of Illinois. Or there is Ohio Serpent Mound. It's like a snake. So, well, anyway, in state of Ohio today, 42,000 mounds. A long time ago, hundreds of thousands in most of the America. In 1884, there was an interview for Chicago Tribune in Chicago local newspaper. And they talked to the guy who was the head of the team coming from the Smithsonian Institute. And the journalist asked him, okay, what are you doing? And he said, we are going and we are destroying all these mounds. Tumulus-like, pyramid-like, earthen, mounds. We are destroying them. We are taking all the artifacts to Smithsonian, which was established mid of 19th century, and now we are talking about the last quarter of 19th century. We are taking them there. And they never came to exhibition so people can see that. They have either destroyed or hide so many artifacts. And among those artifacts were the human skeletons of 3.5 meters, of 4 meters, of 5 meters, of 2.5 meters. For us, if they are 3 or 5 times bigger than us, in the eyes of common people, they would look like giants. So I don't think if we had giants of 20 or 500, but of 4 meters, yes, because it came from the mouth of one of the heads of the teams from Smithsonian. And the interesting thing is, we never saw that. So it seems to me that some of those biggest museums are there not to show, but to hide. But hey, this is the cultural heritage that belongs to all of us. Who are they to have a monopoly on such information? This is so wrong.
And why?
And injustice. Well, imagine this. Before we had advanced civilizations, they knew secrets of energy, spirituality, all these things that we discuss today. Once people realize, hey, the soul, I'm immortal, I'm free, I'm not afraid of, politicians or whatever, kings, then it changes everything. Elites are gone. And this is the reason why they want to, keep us blind. And in the meantime, like I said, give us a bone so we fight among ourselves.
Also, the gen manipulation, is there also a kind of scientific proof of that?
Yes.
Yes, it is?
Now, when it comes to our genes, when we follow different species, apes, monkeys, chimpanzees, gorillas, Neanderthal, you can clearly see that the fittest, the strongest, would survive. How do we know that? If you are the strongest Neanderthal, you are going to have the cave for yourself, and you are going to get all the good girls. Those who are sick, who are unable to fight, you know, they would go through this process of selections. They are sick because of some diseases, of bad genes, or whatever. They are gone. So who survives? Only those with the strongest genes, the healthiest. So we can see that the chimpanzees or Neanderthals, they would have maximum 2 or 3 genetical problems in their DNA. And then all of a sudden, overnight, 400,000 years ago, you have completely new species, Homo sapiens. And in biology, there is a term, missing link. What link? Link between Neanderthal and Homo sapiens. Because we are intelligent, we are artistic. These guys, they knew some stuff, but it would take 5 million years to evolve to Homo sapiens. Missing link. That missing link is genetical engineering. And now all of a sudden, you have us who are so intelligent, who started using tools, who buried our dead ones, a lot of new stuff. But at the time when they were born, they would have 5,000 genetical problems, 5,000 genetical flaws. So they would be getting, like we are getting today, we are the same species, Alzheimer's, cancers, TBC. Why? Because of the genes. We are not product of this planet only. Because these other species, when they came, they brought their genes. They were accustomed, adjusted to other planets' environment, which was different than ours. And our species, Neanderthals, were adjusted to our planet. So when you mix the two, you have improved the species, but the price was all the potential illnesses that we carry in our genes. So this is biological proof of what I was telling you about.
So the whole Darwin theory...
Darwin theory, at the time when it appeared, it was revolutionary. Today, when I'm looking at it, 150 years later, it explains 20, 30%. Really, you know, when you look at the longer time, you can see that for some periods, you can see evolution. But Darwin theory does not explain 3 major things. The first one is origin of life. Talking about that, you know, that we are product of, you know, incidents and coincidence, you know, that lighting and amino and proteins somehow got together and you have organic life. No way. Life on this planet has been brought. That's first thing. The second thing Darwin theory does not explain is when you had in the distant past huge catastrophes, let's say they are talking 65 million years ago, there was a huge meteor that destroyed all the life, dinosaurs were gone. But when the dinosaurs were gone, they had so many different species of dinosaurs. All of them disappeared, and then all of a sudden, in a matter of 1,000 years, which is nothing, you know, in the period of millions of years.
No, it's just a second.
You had such a wide selection of mammals. Mammals, we are mammals also. All kinds of animals. During the, I mean, according to Darwin's theory, it would take millions, tens of millions, to slowly develop different species. Here it happens overnight. It does not explain that. And the third thing it does not explain is Homo sapiens from Neanderthal. So if it does not explain the major point, it can help, but this is not explanation for what's happening on this planet.
Do you believe that the truth is coming out about the gene manipulation?
Well, it is coming. You know, 25 years ago, if you are working in, let's say, UFO environment, some people are saying under the Denver, Colorado airport, there are 13 levels. First 7 levels are institutes for humans. Then from 7th to 10th, combined institutes, human and extraterrestrials, and then you have extraterrestrials. If you were in security there, if you were in military there, and if you are giving your testimonials from first hand, they would kill you immediately. Today is different. Today you can talk about those things. So it seems that the things are coming on the surface. 30, 40 years ago, those spies during the Soviet and Warsaw Pact against NATO Pact, you could not talk about anything, about the weaponry, about the spiritual experiments, about, you know, remote viewing, spiritually going to the other side, to Moscow, to Kremlin, and listen what they talk about, the nuclear weaponry. There are so many different things you could not talk about. All of a sudden in the 1990s, the beginning of the 1990s, we can see those former spies, they don't have a job anymore, they started writing books. Very successful, they make money from the books. And then we realize, hey, look all the secrets that were in the past. So it is not like if you tell a big secret, then they're going to get rid of you. Sometimes still do. For example, pharmaceutical industry, which is very aggressive, but it's not like before. Before it was really bad. You disappear overnight.
What is it telling you about this time that we can speak?
On one hand, thanks to the internet, it is more open, many more possibilities. I mean, you and I, 20 years ago, we could not have friends from Peru, New Zealand, wherever, that we never saw them. Now they follow us, we talk to them, they approach us, we talk to them. So it's much more open. So many books on internet, you can read them for free, then you can educate yourself. And lately, of course, with the social media, with the YouTube. And YouTube was really good because in 1 hour you can learn so much. People started sharing their experiences with the water. We realized water is alive. We realized even that stones vibrates at different frequencies. I mean, these things were impossible before. So people say, hey, I mean, educational system, you are so rigid, so conservative, so, you need to learn new stuff. So on one hand, huge opportunities. On the other hand, we can see, again, so much power in the hands of very few people. People who owns, Facebook, Meta, Zuckerberg, or who owns former Twitter, X, this guy, Elon Musk. You have 4 or 5 people. They are $200 billion in weight, and they are able to make people think certain way. And that's bad. This is control and manipulation. If you do that, you can make them vote for their candidate. So where is the freedom? Where is the choice?
Mind control?
Yes, and mind control also. I mean, a long time ago, people realized that there are certain substances in your body. They can affect the way you think, your behavior. You can become either very violent or demoralized. And there is a way to activate that in your body through the heat, for example, through satellite. You focus on a certain area, and then all of a sudden, all these people become violent. Unfortunately, these are bad sides of the technology that we have today.
So that's why it's so important to make connection with nature, right?
Yes. So, it helps us to think clearer. Meditation, also very important. You go deep inside your inner cosmos. One of my books is called Meditation at the Sacred Places. So I would travel different sites, I go there, and I would apply focused meditation. Through my life, decades and decades of work, I was trying different techniques until I formed my own. Since I'm interested in ancient sites, I would go there and I would ask questions. And usually, within first 2-3 seconds, the pictures I would see, even movie I would see, or the words I could hear, are really the real truth. Later on, after 3 seconds, your mind, your ratio take over, and it serves you information that he or it thinks you should get. But first few seconds, you are getting information probably from energy field or from your soul. For example, I was taking groups to Israel, much before the conflict now. And there is a site called Rujum El Hiri. These are 5 megalithic circles. And it's a remote area, no life, and archaeological digging did not produce almost anything, because no residential areas, no artifacts, no nothing. But you ask yourself, who built this place? It's 20,000 tons of volcanic stones. Somebody made 5 circles. And why would they do that? So I would go there. In the central part, there's like a little stone chamber. I go in there, close my eyes, and I ask those questions. Always, who, when, how, why. So I ask question, when. I'm getting answers 5,200 years ago. I said, what is it doing here? And I got the whole story. It goes like this. There were a little community there, but people were getting sick. Their animals, domestic animals, they were getting sick. So everybody was dying. So people went to their shamans, to their spiritual people. They asked them, what's happening? Why we are getting sick? And then the shamans got in touch with the souls of nature, with the natural intelligence, the spirits. They talked to them and they got the answer. They said, your community is exactly above underground river. Underground river produces negative energy. We know that today. If you have your bed above underground river, you're going to get sick in 3, 4, 5 years. It starts with the bad sleeping, but eventually you get sick. And they said, this is the reason. But what you need to do, you need to build megalithic circle. Once you build it, it's going to neutralize negative energy. If you build odd number 357, then it will transform it to positive energy. But you need to use old hard rocks. So they found a volcanic stone. They built the megalithic circles, and what happened, what I saw, this community started thriving, developing. They even developed 2 more communities nearby. And one, I saw the lake and I saw the direction. And I got out. So I have a group of people that I was leading, and with me, co-guiding, was the guy. He is PhD, and he is son of the most famous archaeological couple in Israel. So he knew all the archaeological sites in Israel. So I'm saying this story. He's listening. He said, how did you know? Over there, just 3 years ago, there were excavations done, and they found the traces of the village from 5,000 years ago, and there was a lake there. I couldn't know because we were coming from the other side. So this is called focused meditation. I'm probably the only one who do that.
Kind of a downloads or so.
But then, yes, something like that. But then, how do I know? I don't know where do I get the information from? Like I said, maybe some energy field, maybe some people are saying Akasha. Maybe I was talking to my soul because our soul is going through so many life experiences. Maybe I was there before, who knows? But you get the way to get those important information. Now, I learned also one more thing. If your intentions are pure, you are going to get a lot. But if they're not pure, you won't get nothing. For example, I cannot ask, okay, give me your lottery number for tomorrow. So I get a few millions. You won't get nothing.
Yes, it's so true. I still have a couple of questions. And also, we have some questions from our community. Dus dankjewel als je ook vragen wil stellen. Word member, want dan kun je dus ook vragen stellen aan onze gasten. One of the questions are, what is the connection between the pyramids in Mexico, Bosnia and China? Are there some connections?
People think that there is a connection among all the pyramids in the world. My answer is no. Because I can see that the pyramids were built during different time periods, and they don't have the same features. All these pyramids do have common ground. Those that they were coming later, they don't. What are those same features? First is, of course, four-sided pyramid, four triangular faces, and it's present everywhere. The second one is construction material, is present everywhere. In Peru, they were using adobe brick. In Mexico, they were using sandstone and granite. In Egypt, limestone and granite. In Bosnia, concrete and so on. The third one is the orientation. Most pyramids, like I mentioned, China, Indonesia, Peru, Egypt, Bosnia, US, north, south, east, west. But some of them, they are not. And then the next one is quartz crystal. If you use sandstone and granite, you have quartz crystal, which amplifies the energy. In some cases, just adobe bricks or, mud brick especially, it does not have those properties, which amplifies the energies. And then they are all located above energy-potent places, underground waters, in most cases, yes. So I see that more elements you have, the pyramid becomes stronger energy machines. So for the oldest builders, it was energy machine technology. For those that came later, it was just a way to make replica of much bigger structures. And really, in some of those smaller ones, they would put princesses, kings, like in China, those from 2,000 years ago, some generals, some princesses, some emperors, and so on. So this is the major difference. The number of original pyramids is much, much smaller. So now the question is there a connection between them? Well, since we measure energy beam on the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, where does it go? It goes to the sky. Is it possible to put a satellite today that will accumulate this energy? It is possible. What do we do with our power plants? We send the energy to one distribution center, and from there it comes to our homes and so on. So somebody is collecting it. Is it possible that somebody was collecting energy above Bosnian pyramids and Mexican and Chinese and Egyptian? It is possible. What do you do with the energy then? You can play. You can make protective shield around our planet. Or you can make energy beams and attack your enemies. So my answer to that question is yes, it is possible that some of them were part of the network.
Was it also used to make a connection with other star beings?
Okay. Science. When we realized through 5 independent teams from Croatia, Serbia, Italy, Finland, and Germany that we have energy beam, 28 kilohertz, electrical in nature. We wanted to see where actually it is directed to.
Yes.
The first logical answer would be it is at 90 degrees to the sky. It is not. In the morning, it's moved to the east. Where the sun rises in the morning? East. At the noontime, this energy beam is directed to south. And this is exactly where the sun is at the noontime. Afternoon, southwest, evening, west. So this energy beam follows the path of our sun. What does that mean? Does it mean that our planet communicates with the sun? Technically, it is possible. Does it mean that we can communicate through the sun as a cosmic gate with the other solar systems? Technically, it is possible. And other galaxies? Maybe. But then the pyramids are not only transmitters, they are antennas. They receive the information. So there is two-way information network, or what I would call the cosmic internet.
Cosmic internet. Wow. Wow. Dr. Sam, also another question from our community. Are there also pyramids being discovered at the bottom of the ocean?
Yes, there are pyramids at the bottom of the oceans. Since some of the former civilizations lost their land, we know, geologically speaking, that between Europe and America, 55,000 years ago, there were 2 huge islands or 2 small continents.
We're talking about Atlantis?
There you go.
Okay.
So 55,000 years ago, one island sunk on the bottom of the Atlantic. And 12,500 years ago, another one sunk. Why? Well, we probably know reason for the second one, the last phase of Atlantis and the end of the last ice age. So we had this volcanic, huge island or small continent. It was 400 kilometers by 200 kilometers. It was most probably hit by huge rocks coming from the solar system. Between Mars and Jupiter, there was a planet. It was destroyed. It would be a long story to explain why, but when it was destroyed, today in the orbit, now there are a lot of rocks today. Some of the rocks went through the solar system, some of them hit our planet, some of them hit our volcanic island of, let's call it Atlantis, and volcanic islands, they are very delicate, they go up and down. And this one went down for 3,500 meters. And this was probably the end of the civilization as we know it as Atlantis. Did they have pyramids? All the accounts through, let's say, 12,000 readings by Edgar Cayce. He was an American prophet in the first half of 20th century. He was doing hypnotic regressions, and people were telling him they were living at this island. But it was more than 10,000 of such stories. It cannot be coincidence. One man can say, or two, 10,000. So there are some others, there are some, research done, and we know that that huge island was there. So definitely they did have pyramids. Now there are stories, that some glass or crystal pyramids were discovered in Bermudas, but except that one account, we don't have independent verification. There are stories that through the solar equipment, the pyramids, several of them were discovered near Cuba, 1960s, but Fidel Castro did not allow for further examination. So there are some stories, and I would say probably there is much truth about it, because if we have pyramids 30,000 years old, so original, biggest belong to that period. And in the meantime, we had big changes over there, in the oceans.
We still have a lot to discover,
Yes.
Dr. Sam. I want to thank you very much for this wonderful conversation. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best. And I would love to talk about that. We can maybe come to your place with Univibes Travel.
Well, we are expecting you, maybe even this season. June, July, August at our place is marvelous. We have, in June and August, we have festivals. You will be welcome to join us, especially Summer Solstice. That's our biggest celebration. Why Summer Solstice? Beginning of summer, the most beautiful season. And our sun has the strongest ray, and our mother planet is the healthiest. Good time to be there, and many ancient people would honor that date.
I would love to.
Yes.
I hope to see you soon, Dr. Sam.
Okay.
Very, very, very much. And
All right.
Thank you so much. En jij ontzettend bedankt voor het kijken en het luisteren naar deze zeer boeiende gesprek met Dr. Sam. Hij heeft ook heel veel prachtige mooie boeken. If they want to contact you, Dr. Sam, where should they go?
BosnianPyramids.be. BosnianPyramids.be is the website, but of course our Instagram, Facebook, Sam Osmanagic,
I will put it
welcome.
on the link beneath this YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Dankjewel voor het kijken en het luisteren, lieve mensen. En tot volgende week. Bye bye.